Where does knowledge come from? How do we make sense of the world and then teach others what we know? This video will help you to understand the differences between data, information, and knowledge, understand why knowledge creation and management are valued in school and in the workplace, be able to choose the most appropriate type of research to address an information need, and understand the ethical considerations that accompany any research project. Data is raw and without context. It is like a spreadsheet without labels. Examples of data are the word black or the number 212. Information describes data. It puts data into context. For example, the word black could signify an ability level in martial arts, the color of liquid produced in a chemical experiment, a cultural sign of mourning, or a kind of tea. The number 212 could be an area code, a calculated result, the identification number of an item, or the number of jelly beans in a jar. Information can also be arranged data. Often large amounts of data are described by labels in a spreadsheet or fields in a database. Knowledge is the result of processing, analyzing, or synthesizing information. Some examples of knowledge are the process of becoming a black belt, an analysis of individuals who study martial arts, a study on the cultural differences in the expression of mourning, or why a numeric calculation resulted in the number 212. As you can see, the concepts of data, information, and knowledge are all related to each other. Data becomes information. Information becomes knowledge. Knowledge continues to build as new data, information, and knowledge informs, updates, and contributes to prior knowledge. Here is a visual of this process. We process data, information, and knowledge all the time, for school, for work, and in everyday life. Because there is so much data and information, with much of it readily available at the touch of a button on the internet, we have to apply more strategic thinking about how we find, use, and record data, information, and knowledge. For example, many organizations are incorporating the concept of knowledge management by developing strategies, policies, and tools to formally capture, manage, retain, and further utilize employee knowledge. In school, one way to demonstrate you are able to synthesize information from different sources and turn it into knowledge is by writing a research paper. But there are other ways to synthesize information and demonstrate your knowledge on a given topic. One way is to collect data by conducting your own research, which can then be transformed into information and knowledge. Some common types of research methods, which can be combined in some cases, are explicatory. This research method involves the examining of a single work or event or closely related group of works and is often used in the humanities. Interviews and focus groups. This research method allows the researcher to better answer your why and how research questions and works well for complex issues that may not lend themselves to survey answers. One example of this research method is collecting an oral history through personal interviews. Fieldwork. Under this research method, the researcher goes to a specific location to study people or objects. Some fieldwork examples include archaeological excavations, scientific research, such as in marine biology, or anthropological or sociological studies of specific groups of people. Laboratory experiments. With this research method, experiments are performed in a controlled environment using the scientific method. Observational studies. Using this research method, the researcher looks for the connections or correlations in an environment. Surveys. This research method consists of a series of questions answered by research subjects. The data collected from the research is then transformed into information and knowledge. Research results are evaluated differently depending on if the research is quantitative or qualitative. In quantitative research, the research results are measured and expressed numerically. Common types of quantitative research are lab experiments and surveys. Surveys are often coded to be quantitative, with some answers remaining qualitative. In qualitative research, the research results are recorded in words, images, sounds, or symbols, with the aim of understanding the subject of the study. Common types of qualitative research are field observations and interviews. Research may also be categorized as primary or secondary research. In primary research, Researchers form conclusions based on their own experiments and studies. In secondary research, researchers use data from another study and perform their own analysis. Many organizations make their data available to other researchers. Listed are several examples. With any research project, there are ethical considerations. When designing and performing your own research, it is important to use the data and information you collect in your research ethically. Avoiding plagiarism is an important ethical consideration when using secondary sources, but there are additional ethical considerations when you are performing primary research. For example, be honest. Do not fabricate data, alter data, or misrepresent findings to conform to a desired research result. Do not use secondary research without permission or giving credit. Determine if your data will be used anonymously. You should let your subjects know before they provide data whether or not their identity will be kept secret. Do not betray a subject's trust if you promised anonymity. Keep your personal beliefs and bias from altering or influencing the data. Treat your subjects ethically. The Purdue Online Writing Lab notes that when conducting primary research, you don't want to do anything that would cause physical or emotional harm to your subjects. This could be something as simple as being careful how you word sensitive or difficult questions during your interviews. If you are using a subject's personal information that is not publicly available, make sure you obtain their permission prior to their participation in the study. Before officially starting a study, a researcher must submit research plans to an ethics review board. If your research involves animals, law and local policies usually control experiments conducted on animals. This concludes our video on data, information, knowledge, and primary and secondary research. We've covered the definitions and relationship of data, knowledge, and information, and the importance of knowledge creation and management. We've also discussed various research methods and the ethical considerations that should accompany any research project.